Hey, have you ever thought about how habits form in our brains?
Absolutely, it's fascinating. Habits are like automatic actions. They start in the brain with cues and routines.
Right, the brain craves efficiency. Habits are formed through repetition. The basal ganglia is key. It's like the habit center.
Yes, the basal ganglia stores habitual actions, like driving or brushing teeth. But the prefrontal cortex is involved too. It plans and makes decisions.
Exactly, in habit formation, the prefrontal cortex is active when we learn new behavior. As the behavior repeats, it shifts to the basal ganglia.
So, the more we repeat an action, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. It's like a shortcut the brain takes to save energy.
Right, and this is how a cue triggers a habit. Let's say you feel stressed, that's the cue. You snack, routine, for comfort, and your brain links them.
That's interesting. So, if I want to change a habit, I should focus on changing the routine while keeping the same cue and reward?
Exactly, you're catching on. Changing the routine can rewrite the habit loop. It takes time, as new neural pathways need reinforcement.
I see. But why is it sometimes so hard to break a habit? Like, even with strong intentions, it's tough.
Breaking a habit is challenging because those neural pathways are well established. The brain resists change to save energy.
But people do break habits, right? What's the trick?
Absolutely, it's possible. You need to be aware of the cue triggering the habit. Replace the routine with a positive action and reward.
Makes sense. It's like replacing the cookie with a piece of fruit when I feel stressed. So, the old link weakens over time.
Precisely. The more you repeat the new routine, the weaker the old habit's neural pathway becomes. Eventually, the new pathway dominates.
This gives me hope for changing my morning snooze button habit. So, forming good habits works similarly.
Absolutely. When you're building a new habit, start small and be consistent. Celebrate each success to strengthen the positive association.
Interesting. But what about willpower? Is it just about having a strong mind to change habits?
Willpower plays a role, but it's exhaustible. It's like a muscle that can get tired. That's why changing one habit at a time is effective.
Got it. So, consistency and patience are key in habit transformation.
Right on target. It's a gradual process. Remember, habits aren't all bad. They free up mental space for more complex tasks.
True, like driving without thinking. So, habits aren't just about actions, but also about how we think.
Absolutely, habits shape our thought patterns too. Positive habits can enhance our overall mindset and well-being.
This conversation was enlightening. Understanding the brain's role in habit formation is empowering.
I'm glad you found it useful. Our brains are incredible, and knowing how they work can help us lead better lives.
Have you ever thought about how habits can impact our productivity?
Habits are like the building blocks of productivity. They help us automate tasks and save mental energy for more important things.
Right on. When we have a routine, our brain doesn't have to decide what to do next. It just follows the pattern.
Exactly. And that's how successful people get so much done. They've designed habits that support their goals.
Precisely. Take Elon Musk, for example. He has a strict daily schedule that maximizes his time and focus.
True. So, habits can make a huge difference. But how do we create effective habits?
Great question. Start with small changes. Let's say you want to read more. Start by reading 10 pages every night before bed.
I see. So, it's about consistency and starting small. How do habits tie into productivity, though?
Well, think of it this way. When you have a habit of checking your email first thing in the morning, you're setting a routine.
Got it. So, instead of wasting time deciding what to do, you just follow your established routine.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about the concept of Keystone Habits.
Keystone habits? What are those?
They're like supercharged habits. When you develop one keystone habit, it has a positive ripple effect on other areas of your life.
Interesting. Can you give an example?
Sure. Regular exercise is a common keystone habit. When you exercise regularly, you tend to eat better, sleep better, and even work more efficiently.
So, one positive habit can lead to a chain reaction of productivity improvements.
You got it. And it's not just about individuals. Organizations benefit from good habits too.
How so?
Take Google's 20% time policy. Employees spend 20% of their work week on personal projects. It fosters innovation and boosts morale.
That's a great example. So, cultivating habits within a company's culture can enhance overall productivity.
Absolutely. Now, let's touch on the power of focus. Habits can help us eliminate decision fatigue and stay focused on important tasks.
Decision fatigue.
Yes, it's the mental exhaustion from making countless decisions throughout the day. Habits reduce that fatigue because you've already made those decisions.
I see how that could be a game changer. Any tips for building habits that stick?
Definitely. First, identify your goal. Then break it down into smaller steps. Make them specific and achievable. And track your progress.
Tracking progress is key, then. It keeps you motivated and accountable.
Absolutely. Plus, celebrate small wins along the way. It reinforces the habit loop.
Makes sense. It's like a positive feedback loop for our brain.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about breaking bad habits. It's as important as building good ones.
Breaking bad habits can be tough. How do we approach it?
Start by identifying the trigger or cue that leads to the bad habit. Replace the routine with a positive action and reward.
So, it's about rewiring our brain's association with the trigger.
Exactly. It takes time and effort, but it's definitely doable.
This conversation has been enlightening. I can see how intentional habits can transform productivity.
I'm glad you found it useful. Remember, it's all about consistency and patience.
And starting small. I'll definitely work on incorporating positive habits into my routine.
Hey, have you ever tried to break a bad habit? It's harder than it seems, right?
Absolutely. Habits are stubborn. But understanding the psychology behind them can help us overcome them.
True. Let's talk about triggers. They're like the starting point for bad habits, right?
Yes, triggers can be cues like stress or boredom. They set off the chain reaction that leads to the unwanted behavior.
So, if we want to break a habit, we should start by identifying those triggers?
Exactly. Recognizing what sets off the habit is the first step. Then we can work on changing our response.
And that's where habit replacement comes in, right?
Right. Instead of giving in to the old habit, we replace it with a healthier behavior that satisfies the same need.
For example, if I'm stressed and usually reach for junk food, I could replace it with a walk or deep breathing.
Exactly. The key is finding a replacement that addresses the same underlying need.
But it's not that simple, is it? Why is breaking a bad habit so challenging?
Our brains like routine. Habits create neural pathways, making it easy for the brain to follow the same pattern. Breaking that path takes effort.
So, we're basically rewiring our brains.
Yes, and it takes time. That's why patience is important. And slip-ups are normal too.
Slip-ups are okay?
Absolutely. It's important not to be too hard on yourself. Just acknowledge the slip, learn from it, and move forward.
Got it. So, what about cognitive behavioral techniques? How do they help in breaking habits?
Cognitive behavioral techniques focus on changing our thought patterns and behaviors. They help us challenge the beliefs that support the bad habit.
Can you give an example?
Let's say someone wants to quit smoking. They might have a belief that smoking helps them relax. CBT helps them find healthier ways to relax.
I see how that can reshape the mindset. But what about those moments when the urge for the old habit is strong?
That's when you use techniques like mindfulness. It helps you become aware of the craving without acting on it.
Mindfulness sounds useful. It's like observing the craving without giving into it.
Exactly. It gives you the power to choose how you respond to the craving.
Changing a habit seems like a mental game. Are there any success stories you've heard of?
Definitely. I've read about people overcoming addiction through these techniques. It's about reprogramming the brain.
Inspiring. It shows that with the right strategies, we can conquer even the toughest habits.
Absolutely. It's important to remember that setbacks are part of the process. They don't define your success.
That's a great perspective. So, it's about persistence and self-compassion.
Precisely. And seeking support from friends, family, or professionals can make a huge difference too.
Talking about it openly instead of struggling alone.
Yes, sharing your journey makes the process less daunting. And you might even inspire others to make positive changes.
It's a journey of growth, then.
Definitely. Breaking a bad habit is an opportunity to learn more about yourself and your triggers.
And it's proof that we have control over our actions and choices.
Absolutely. With determination and the right tools, we can reshape our habits and lead healthier, happier lives.
Have you heard about Keystone Habits? They sound intriguing.
Absolutely. Keystone habits are like magic keys that unlock positive changes in other areas of life. They create a ripple effect.
So, one habit can lead to multiple improvements?
Exactly. Take exercise, for instance. It's a common keystone habit. When you start exercising, you often sleep better, eat healthier, and feel more focused.
Interesting. So, keystone habits trigger a domino effect of positivity.
Precisely. They influence our behavior and mindset, leading to a broader transformation.
Can you give more examples?
Sure. Making your bed every morning can be a keystone habit. It kickstarts your day with a sense of accomplishment, leading to increased productivity.
Small habits can have big impacts.
Definitely. And journaling is another keystone habit. It promotes self-reflection, mindfulness, and can even improve relationships.
I see how journaling can enhance many aspects of life. But why do keystone habits work this way?
It's about creating positive feedback loops. One change encourages other positive changes, reinforcing the cycle.
So, starting with one good habit can set off a chain reaction of self-improvement.
Exactly. And the key is to choose a habit that aligns with your goals and values.
How do we identify a keystone habit that's right for us?
Look at your life holistically. What change would have the most significant impact? What improvement would lead to others naturally?
Like a catalyst for personal growth.
Absolutely. And it's important to be patient. The effects of keystone habits might not be immediate, but they're powerful over time.
So, it's about consistency and perseverance.
Right. Let's talk about Charles Duhigg's example of Alcoa's transformation.
Alcoa? The aluminum company?
Yes. When Paul O'Neill became CEO, he focused on one keystone habit: safety. It led to improved communication, efficiency, and profits.
Safety triggered a positive chain reaction throughout the company?
Yes. Employees started communicating better to ensure safety. This improved collaboration and innovation across the board.
It's amazing how one focus can transform an entire organization.
Another example is saving money. It's a keystone habit that cultivates discipline and can lead to better financial decisions.
That's true. So, keystone habits not only affect personal life but also organizational success.
Definitely. And the beauty is that anyone can harness their power. It's about finding the right key to unlock your desired changes.
Are there challenges in establishing keystone habits?
Of course. Changing habits requires effort and consistency. But the rewards are worth it.
Any tips for making keystone habits stick?
Start small. Focus on one habit at a time. And track your progress. Celebrate each step in your journey.
So, it's about embracing the process and acknowledging achievements along the way.
Exactly. And remember, setbacks happen. They're a natural part of growth.
Have you ever noticed how habits can be influenced by our culture and social surroundings?
Absolutely. Cultural norms and social pressures play a big role in shaping our habits and behaviors.
So, our environment has a significant impact on the habits we develop?
Definitely. Our habits are often shaped by what's considered normal or acceptable in our society.
Can you give an example of how cultural norms affect habits?
In some cultures, eating with your hands is common and accepted. In others, it's considered impolite. So, our eating habits can vary.
I see how cultural norms create different habits. What about peer pressure?
Peer pressure can be a powerful influencer. If your friends have certain habits, you might adopt them to fit in or be accepted.
So, our social circles can lead us to certain habits, even if they're not what we initially preferred.
Exactly. And social media has become a significant influencer too.
Social media? How does that influence our habits?
Well, think about it. People often post about their habits and experiences. Seeing others' habits can make us want to try them too.
Like trying a new workout or diet just because we saw someone post about it.
Yes, and it's not just about wanting to fit in. It's about being part of a shared experience.
So, social media turns habits into trends.
Right. And it's not just about copying. It's also about seeking validation and connection through shared habits.
That's interesting. But can social influence be positive too?
Absolutely. Imagine your friends are into volunteering. Their influence might encourage you to adopt a habit of giving back.
So, it's not always about negative peer pressure.
No, positive peer influence can lead to wonderful habit changes too.
I've heard about habits spreading through social networks. How does that work?
It's like a ripple effect. When one person adopts a new habit, their friends and family might get curious and try it too.
So, habits can spread like a chain reaction through our connections.
Exactly. Social networks have a significant impact on how habits spread and evolve.
Can you give an example of a habit that spread through social networks?
Sure. Remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? It raised awareness and funds for ALS research through social sharing and nominations.
That's a powerful example of how habits can become viral through social media.
Definitely. And even offline, like if your friends start a book club. You might join because of their influence.
So, our habits can be a mix of personal choices and the influences around us.
Precisely. But it's important to remember that we still have the power to choose which habits we adopt.
True. So, how can we navigate these cultural and social influences to form healthier habits?
Awareness is key. Recognize when you're adopting a habit due to external pressure. Reflect on whether it aligns with your goals.
So, it's about being mindful of our choices.
Exactly. And remember, you can also be a positive influencer. Your healthy habits might inspire others too.
That's a great perspective. We can contribute to positive changes in our social circles. Have you ever thought about how habits affect our health?
Our habits play a huge role in our overall well-being, both physically and mentally.
So, habits can impact our health in various ways.
Definitely. From exercise routines to eating habits, sleep patterns, and stress management, habits shape our health.
Let's start with exercise. How do habits relate to physical activity?
Habits are like the backbone of a regular exercise routine. When you make exercise a habit, it becomes a natural part of your day.
So, consistent exercise becomes easier when it's a habit.
Exactly. You don't have to rely on motivation alone. The habit keeps you on track.
What about eating habits? How do they affect our health?
Eating habits determine our nutritional intake. When we develop healthy eating habits, it becomes easier to nourish our bodies properly.
So, forming good eating habits is key to maintaining a balanced diet.
Absolutely. And it's not just about what we eat, but how we eat. Mindful eating is a positive habit that supports digestion.
Interesting. What role do habits play in sleep?
Sleep hygiene habits, like going to bed and waking up at the same time, create a consistent sleep pattern that enhances sleep quality.
So, our sleep routines affect how rested we feel?
Yes, and they also impact our mood, cognitive function, and overall health.
How about stress management? How can habits help with that?
Developing habits like deep breathing, meditation, or journaling can provide effective tools to manage stress and promote mental well-being.
So, habits can be a buffer against the negative effects of stress.
Absolutely. They provide structured ways to cope with life's challenges.
How can we cultivate and sustain health-related habits?
Start small and be consistent. Choose one habit at a time. For example, if you want to start exercising, begin with a short daily walk.
Gradual progress makes sense. What about staying motivated?
Track your progress and celebrate milestones. It reinforces the habit loop. Also, remind yourself of the benefits to stay motivated.
Positive reinforcement and focusing on the rewards, got it. Are there challenges in forming health-related habits?
Definitely. Overcoming initial resistance and sticking with a habit until it becomes automatic can be challenging.
How do we tackle that resistance?
Set clear goals and remind yourself of your why. Surround yourself with a supportive environment, and remember that setbacks are temporary.
Are there success stories you've heard of regarding health-related habits?
Plenty. People have transformed their lives by adopting healthier habits. From weight loss to improved mental health, the benefits are remarkable.
Inspiring. So, habits have the power to turn our health around.
Absolutely. Small changes can lead to significant improvements over time.